December 6, 1992, the Babri Masjid is demolished. 25 years later, Ayodhya still haunts India. Many political careers were built and marred by the Mandir movement. Many innocent lives were lost. Finally, a courtroom battle over Ayodhya land is nearing its end. The Supreme Court will begin a final hearing on October the 29th. With 6 months to go for the general elections, will Ayodhya dominate Mission 2019?
That's right, it's our top story tonight. Once again, the Supreme Court making all the headlines. The court today paved the way for the final hearing in the contentious Ayodhya dispute. The hearings will begin on the 29th of October. The court today, in a split verdict, decided there was no need to review an earlier judgment that said a masjid or a mosque is not integral to Islam, paving the way for a final hearing on the Ayodhya dispute. It's our top story tonight.
The Ayodhya land dispute in the Supreme Court has entered the last lap. The court will start hearing from October 29th. The date was set after the court on Thursday refused to review a 1994 judgment that said masjid is not integral to Islam. The Muslim group's demand was rejected in a 2-1 split verdict. Justice Ashok Bhushan, who wrote the verdict for himself, and Chief Justice of India, Dipak Misra, said that the 1994 verdict was on a land acquisition case and would have no bearing on the Ayodhya case as it is ownership dispute. The two judges said there was no need to refer the matter to a larger bench. Justice S. Abdul Nazeer gave a dissenting judgment. He said the case needs to be referred to a larger bench and asked if a decision on a practice can be taken without a detailed study of the religion in question. While the Muslim litigants were disappointed, the Hindus say a roadblock has been removed.
1994 से लेके और 2018 तक क्या हिंदुस्तान की कोई एक मस्जिद उस 94 के जजमेंट के बेस पर वहाँ नमाज पढ़ने से रोका क्या किसी को? उसका कोई असर उस पर नहीं था। आर्टिकल 25 में एक कंसेप्ट है एसेंशियलिटी ऑफ प्रैक्टिस। उस जजमेंट में 94 में कहा गया कि इट इज़ नॉट एसेंशियल, इसलिए एक्विजिशन को उन्होंने कहा कि एक्विजिशन पर असर नहीं पड़ेगा। इस कंटेस्ट में था, अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसको क्लैरिफाई कर दिया।
नहीं, नमाज पढ़ने के लिए मस्जिद जरूरी होती भी नहीं है, क्योंकि रेलवे स्टेशन पर पढ़ते हैं, ट्रेन में पढ़ते हैं, जहाज में पढ़ते हैं, सड़क पर पढ़ते हैं, ईदगाह में जाकर के पढ़ते हैं, बहुत सारे स्थानों पर पढ़ते हैं। और जहाँ तक जजमेंट का सवाल है, वो जजमेंट जो आया है मैं उसका स्वागत करता हूँ, हृदय से स्वागत करता हूँ।
The Ayodhya dispute is now bound to become a big election issue ahead of 2019.
अयोध्या का पूरा मामला है वो एक तरह से जो लैंड डिस्प्यूट है उसी की बुनियाद पर होगा। गालिबन उसका मतलब ये है कि जो आस्था की बुनियाद पर कुछ लोग बात कर रहे थे, जिसकी वजह से केस आया था, उसका संज्ञान सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने नहीं लिया है।
Not victory, it's a road clear for me to go ahead and prove what is already known. The masjid is not an essential part, and especially this Babri Masjid is not an essential part of Islamic religion. Therefore, it can be shifted and it can be put to do it somewhere else.
And the scales of justice hang in balance. The Supreme Court's verdict has got a ray of hope for both sides. It has also paved the way for early hearing of the main Ayodhya dispute, although it's anybody's guess how long it will take considering the intricacies of the case. With video journalist Sanjeev and Anand Patel, this is Mosmi Singh for India Today.
Let's go to the big questions then tonight. Will Ayodhya dominate 2019 election? The temple mosque dispute. Will raking up the Mandir mosque dispute work to the BJP's advantage? What does today's Supreme Court ruling really mean for the Ayodhya case? How long will the Mandir Masjid issue divide Indian society? Will the Ayodhya litigants importantly abide by any Supreme Court verdict? Joining me now, my two guests in my face-off today. First, Sambit Patra, spokesperson of the BJP, and Asaduddin Owaisi, Member of Parliament of the AIMIM from Hyderabad. First to you, Dr. Patra, you're wearing saffron, interestingly, but already we are hearing from the BJP leaders like Vinay Katiyar, Subramaniam Swamy, almost as if the road has been paved to building a Ram temple, even though the Supreme Court made it very clear that its verdict today would have no impact on the title dispute. Are you and many others in the BJP prematurely celebrating, or is this part of an election strategy to keep Ayodhya boiling till election date in 2019?
See, there are two parts over here. Rajdeep, to the first question, whether in fact in 2019 the issue of Ram and Ram Temple would be a political and an election issue, I would say, look, as far as Indian polity is concerned, both Ram and Roti, that is faith and development, these are central to election, these are central to every walk of life. You just cannot divorce Ram and Roti. You cannot say it's all about Roti, that is development. You cannot say it's all about Ram and Roti will not be taken care of. Any government which takes care of both the walks of life, of course, will be the government which would win. Secondly, your point was that are we prematurely celebrating what the Supreme Court said today? I would say no. You would agree to the fact, with the presence of Mr. Asaduddin Owaisi, you were witness to the issue that there were parties in the court who were trying to delay and deter the Ram Temple case, to the extent that there were lawyers like of the repute of Mr. Dhawan and Kapil Sibal who said that we would like to boycott the Supreme Court, one of them having even sent his black robe back to the Supreme Court, that we will not, if the Supreme Court does not delay and defer this matter beyond the elections of 2019, we are going to boycott the court. They were reprimanded by the Supreme Court, and finally they had to eat their egos and they had to come back to the highest court of country. There was a part where Kapil Sibal went ahead to say that you have to hear this case, including my good friend Mr. Owaisi, who also contended that this case should be heard only after the elections, that is 2019. So, and they also said, added to it, that this may affect the elections.
Let
so
Mr.
who are the
Owaisi now respond, Mr. Patra. You made your point. Mr. Owaisi, has your gambit, as some are calling it, to have this matter deferred till after the 2019 elections failed, now that the court seems to suggest that the hearings will begin as early as the 29th of October, that central issue of the title dispute will now be heard as a result of today's order, paving the way for the final hearing. To that extent, is today a setback?
Okay, Rajiv, I missed your voice. Can you please repeat?
Is today's hearing a setback for you, because you and others have been asking for the entire matter of Ayodhya to be heard after the elections? Now it will be heard from the 29th of October. To that limited extent, what the court has done today is expedited the contentious Ayodhya hearing. Is that a setback for you and others?
Rajdeep, first of all, let me object to what the BJP spokesperson has been talking about, lawyers who are not here to defend themselves. This shows their frustration that even if a person is not present, they harp about it behind their back. Now, the second point is that we have a right to use all the judicial processes that are available to us. And the third and important point pertaining to this debate and today's judgment is that the Allahabad High Court had wrongly given a judgment based on the Ismail Farooqi, and the Allahabad High Court could not overrule or overturn a Supreme Court judgment. That is why I have all the right, and we asked the Supreme Court that the Ismail Farooqi case was wrongly decided without even looking at the Islamic scriptures. Now, let me point out to the benefit of your viewers that the Supreme Court today had given a majority judgment, a dissenting judgment. If you happen to read page number 57, paragraph 6.1, the Supreme Court has clearly said that what Allahabad High Court had decided is wrong. The Supreme Court has accepted that the masjid and mandir are of equal, they are equal, there's no difference between them. But Justice Nazeer rightly said that let this be given to a larger bench so that they can decide once and for all.
So that's a dissenting judgment.
Now, I don't know under what
so
false
please
hope
answer
the
my
BJP
question.
is.
Has the limited point that as a result of today's judgment, Ayodhya dispute will now be reaching its final stage between October and March this year before the general elections. To that extent, does that concern you? Because you or your counsels in court had suggested that the matter be heard and deferred till after the elections are over. I'll come back to the specifics of whether a masjid is essential to Islam later. But let's look at the politics first. Is the politics now that the Ayodhya dispute will linger just before the elections we will have a decision? Does that worry you or not?
Rajdeep, we still stand by the earlier demand of deciding this case after the parliament election. Because day in, day out, the BJP is harping about it. And what is it about this before May 2019? How is it that they know and I don't know that the judgment would come? What is it that we don't know? We want to know from the BJP that are you going to decide this case in your political office or in your shaka? End of the day, it is Supreme Court, and to me it is very surprising that the outgoing CGI has fixed the date of 29th October. Propriety demands that the incoming CGI should decide a new bench, and then he decides. But I don't know how BJP knows that the judgment is going to come in their favor. Please tell us. I mean, if you have decided, then why this farce of having heard his appeal in Supreme Court?
You know,
what is this farce?
Mr. Patra, the charge which is being made or whispered by some and said loudly by Owaisi is that this is a fixed match. When you've already got the likes of Vinay Katiyar, Subramaniam Swamy openly saying now the road has been paved for a mandir to be built, even though the Supreme Court, even in its majority judgment today, said very clearly, whatever we've decided not to judicially review the Ismail Farooqi judgment has no impact on whether a temple or a mosque is on the title dispute. Yet you have BJP leaders today already prematurely celebrating. It almost seems a fixed match, and he's right. Why should the sitting CJI decide on the next date? Why not leave that to the next Chief Justice of India? This is the question that is being raised. That the BJP seems to be wanting this issue to be settled by March so that you can use it in April, May in the elections. You want to play the Hindu card. You want to play the Hindu card in the elections.
Don't be... Yes, let me answer that, Rajdeep. Don't be annoyed and don't be frustrated. Let me tell you. It was pointed out by Mr. Owaisi that I appear to be frustrated, but those who are watching your great channel over here, they would be, by the facial expression and the tone and tenor of the voice itself, would be able to point out who are the gentlemen who are frustrated and who is the gentleman who is at peace and at ease with oneself. And I'll tell you as to why I am at peace and at ease with myself, and I'll also answer this question pertinently as to why we are so sure that we would be victorious. No, Rajdeep. We have not have a fixed match over here. We don't play a fixed match. Please, to say that this is a fixed match is belittling, is demeaning the greatest judiciary on this earth. Remember, our judiciary deals with some of the most complicated cases. They are the best judiciary, the judicial minds, and this jurisprudence of the country, please, for the sake of winning a debate, should not be demeaned. Secondly, as to why still I am at ease and still we feel that we are going to win. Well, yes, capital letters, mark my words, Mr. Owaisi. We are going to be winning, we are going to be victorious. The date I would not be able to say, because of the simple fact that the one which is truthful, the one with whom the truth stands, the one who sticks with one's faith, never ever have they been defeated in the history of this mankind. And I today proclaim that Lord Rama was born there. That is the source of truth and strength.
Let's leave
and
that.
You are in fact frustrated because...
Let's leave that to the Supreme Court. Let's leave some things to the Supreme Court, Mr. Patra. Let's leave some things to the Supreme Court as to who is right or who is wrong. But 1 minute. No, 1 minute. Mr. Owaisi, let's turn to the central argument though.
Probably it's a fixed
No, 1 minute, sir. Mr. Owaisi, the central argument was, is a mosque central to Islam? Today, Subramaniam Swamy and others are saying, now that the court has said, backing what was said in the Ismail Farooqi judgment, that a mosque is not central to Islam, therefore a namaz doesn't necessarily have to be read only inside a mosque. It paves the way for a solution where the Babri Masjid can be moved, or Muslims can pray at another side and Hindus can pray at the at the Ram Janmabhoomi side. To that extent, do you believe that today's judgment paves the way for a potential resolution to the dispute? Mr. Owaisi. Mr. Owaisi.
Is that for...
Yes, do you believe that today's judgment... Can you just focus, sir, on this?
Rajdeep.
Let's focus on this.
Yes, Rajdeep, the apex court is seized of the matter. Let them decide. But why this, stating this that it will come before Lok Sabha elections? It has to be decided. And if you are on the side of truth, please go and tell the Supreme Court that this is what you believe, that Lord Ram was born over there. I challenge you to do that. The next hearing, let this Modi government tell the AG that this is our belief. You cannot say that in a TV studio, you sit here and you can talk all this. But in a court of law, you cannot say that because you have lost each and every case. I am telling you that that cannot happen. This is a title suit, the Supreme Court has clearly said. And yes, this is the last court of appeal. And I should have all the right to put forward all my arguments. And the Supreme Court has rightly said that Ismail Farooqi will not apply. Justice Nazeer rightfully said that in Ismail Farooqi, the court have not used the text. And I am of the opinion that this essentiality thing, why should the judiciary involve in what is essential to religion or not essential to religion? That is the fact of the matter.
No, but Mr. Owaisi, isn't it a fact that one minute. Mr. Owaisi, isn't it a fact that the core question before the court today was whether a masjid is central to Islam? This was decided in Islam in the Farooqi case in 94. Today the court has said we are not going to judicially review that. To that extent, therefore, does it strengthen the argument of those who say that there is no necessity for the very contentious place, the so-called title dispute, to be seen in terms of Muslim identity versus Hindu identity? That Muslims, according to the Subramaniam Swamis, should therefore cede that space.
Rajdeep, I once again reiterate, please read paragraph 6.1, page number 57. That argument has been watered down by the Supreme Court. And why did we raise Ismail Farooqi? Because the Allahabad High Court wrongly came to this conclusion, and a High Court cannot overturn the Supreme Court judgment. And that is why the Allahabad High Court divided into three parties. So this has to be addressed. Subramaniam Swami and all the BJP people can take comfort in whatever they want. But if they have read the judgment, let them read the judgment right now and tell the viewers what is written on page number 57. Forget about Justice Nazeer. Paragraph 6.1, page number 57, let them read it. They don't want to read it. So that is why we are saying it is a title suit. It is not a suit wherein the court is going to decide who was born there or not born there. If BJP seriously believes it, please, I challenge them to go to court and say this. Why are they not saying this?
Sambit Patra, that's a fair point that Mr. Owaisi is making. In television studios, you say it's an article of faith. But when you go to the courts, it is a title dispute. It cannot be based on your belief that Ram was born at a particular site. And as the court has reiterated, they are discussing a title dispute. And they have once again reaffirmed the right to worship at any place, be it a Hindu or a Muslim. So let's not confuse issues. Is the BJP simply because they want to fast track this judgment, influence their voters saying now a mandir will be built? You've been telling your voters for almost 3 decades that we are about to build the mandir.
Rajdeep, I think you would allow us also a chance to speak, because half the time Mr. Owaisi is speaking and then you keep on asking a longest question. Don't allow me to answer. Now please take my answer. Number one, who is confused and who is frustrated over here? Am I frustrated or confused? It is Mr. Owaisi. Why is he confused when he says that, for God's sake, please hear this whole matter after 2019? If he's so confident of his arguments, if he's so confident of the fact that it is just a title suit and the verdict is going to come their way, there is nothing to worry. So please, sir, go ahead. Who is stopping you? Why do you want that this whole thing should be deferred beyond 2019, as you stated in this very debate? Leave aside what you had said previously. In this very debate, you said that you still want the whole thing to be heard after 2019. My question is why?
Why is it that you want it? Your question is why, so is mine. Owaisi response.
No, just a second, Mr. Rajdeep, allow me to complete a few lines and then you can jump into this debate. Mr. Rajdeep, this is not a simple debate. This is a matter of crores of Hindus and Indians over here. This cannot be a one-sided debate. The perspective of 100 crore Hindus need to be put on strongly on this platform.
So you don't represent 100 crore Hindus and he doesn't represent all the Muslims of the country. Let me be very clear. You don't represent all the Hindus, he doesn't represent all the Muslims. Let's be very clear on this point.
He may not.
So let's not make this about 100 crore Hindus versus Muslims. This is a question to be decided in court on the matter of law.
It's okay, Mr. Rajdeep, but the fairity of the debate is you should allow both your participants.
So you make your point now.
Thank you, I respect you. But now my point over here is, I mean, look, you say that as far as essentiality clause is concerned, if you would review this very tape, you would find that Mr. Owaisi, at one point of time, he says that there would have been a good thing if the judges would have referred this whole thing to a seven-judge bench. Here again, he says that, well, the essentiality clause does not apply. So why two voices over here? If you feel that the 7-judge bench was what was required at one end, then you say that it does not affect our the proceedings of the future, and we are not worried. I will tell you why we are celebrating over here. We are celebrating for the very reason that those who wanted to delay and defer, they have been defeated. How? These very people, if today it would have been referred to a 7-judge bench, then the whole proceeding would have continued for another year or two, maybe 7 months, 8 months, 9 months. And then they would have been triumphant in the fact that they would have deterred and deferred the matter. They would have damaged the matter, saying that, well, we are victorious.
You made your point. Mr. Patra, you made your point, and therefore, Mr. Owaisi, you must answer the central point that Dr. Patra is making. Dr. Patra is saying he wants to know, why do you want it deferred beyond 2019 elections? What is it that you are worried about? Are you worried about an adverse verdict? Are you worried that the BJP will politically exploit it? What is it that you are worried about? Don't you have faith in the courts?
Rajdeep, I have all the right to put forward my viewpoint to the courts of law. It is the majesty of the Supreme Court to accept my view or not. The Supreme Court can take any decision.
Why do you want this matter to be heard after the election? What is it that you fear? What is it that you fear, Mr. Owaisi? What is it that you fear?
Rajdeep, it is Rajdeep in last 8 months. It is not me, but it is the Sangh Parivar who even gave the date that come 2nd October 2018 will start the construction. It is not me but Mohan Bhagwat who said we'll start the construction. It is not me but 10 days ago Mohan Bhagwat said that with whatever way or means we want the mandir. Who is making this as a political issue? It is the BJP who's doing it. And we want, if the Supreme Court decides to go ahead, fantastic, it is their prerogative. But my main concern over here is that the BJP wants to take this country back to 1990s. The BJP wants to use this as a ploy to pull wool over the people of India so that their failures of Rafale corruption, their failures on employment, their failures on petrol and diesel prices should not be debated. This is clear-cut case. And this is what we are worried. But I am sure the people of India will not succumb. End of the day, it is not what I want, it is what the Supreme Court decide. If Supreme Court says, no, we want to hear it, we are ready for it. And we'll hear it. We'll definitely go to there in Supreme Court. We will present our viewpoint. We would say that is a title dispute. The Allahabad High Court was a wrong decision. Now if the Supreme Court has said that the Ismail Faruqi will have no impact on this judgment, fantastic. We will go to Supreme Court with all the power. Our lawyers, eminent lawyers will argue over there and let the Supreme Court decide. But to say that no, if it is not decided in our way, we'll have a legislation. Who's saying this? Am I saying this? It is the Sangh Parivar and BJP who are saying this, who are putting a gun to my head and say, even if we lose, we'll bring a legislation. Who's giving dates? It's not me, it is BJP. To hide their failures on governance, they feel that it's the best device to cover up their failures of Mr. Modi.
Respond to that therefore then, Sambit Patra, because what is being suggested by Mr. Owaisi is also suggested by you. You keep raking up the Ayodhya issue, make it emotional, make it divisive, because there are votes to be had. You've been doing that since the late 80s. We are now in 2018. Why do you need this issue? Why is it that you are goading almost the courts for an early decision? Why can't you wait? What is it that you want before the election? Why do you want a divisive, emotive issue before the elections
Rajdeep,
to be
get
heard?
my straight answer over here.
Yes.
Rajdeep, get my straight answer over here. A very earnest and a serious answer. Why can't you wait? My question is, why should I wait? Why should we wait? Why should the Hindus wait? And please, it's a Hindu-Muslim issue or not, that's a separate issue. But why should I wait is
Why
my
should you
question.
exploit it
I
in
have
elections?
waited for
What does it
500
have to do with elections? Why should I vote for my
Mr.
MLA
Rajdeep,
and MP
don't
based
shout
on a
in the
temple?
middle of me. You have
Why
asked the
should I
question,
wait
Mr.
for
Rajdeep.
a Hindu
Mr.
Muslim?
Rajdeep,
Why should I wait?
Mr. Rajdeep, you have to allow the others
from
to
the
speak.
issue.
You cannot just override. I have got your question, Mr. Rajdeep. Mr. Rajdeep, ironically, though I respect you, I would say you do not shout the similar way when a bishop is caught raping, but you shout and ask me as to why should
That
not
is an
I wait
absolutely
for the mandir.
ridiculous
Let
thing
the
to
mandir
say.
be-
Mr. Patra, you are
Not
making an
ridiculous,
absolutely
Mr. Rajdeep.
ridiculous comment.
Mr. Rajdeep, I am
You
not
have not
ridiculous.
seen my debate.
Allow
I
me
have
to
asked the
complete
same
my-
questions to Mr. Owaisi.
Allow me to
Do not
complete
play
my
this
phrases,
poisonous
at least
politics
don't
here.
shout at me. You never
Don't
shouted
equate
at
it with
Mr.
the bishop's
Owaisi.
nun.
You
I
allowed
asked you a
Mr.
simple
Owaisi to
question.
make his...
Why do you want to make it a political issue?
You allowed Mr. Mr. Owaisi to complete his statement, Mr. Rajdeep. You cannot just run me down. You have to allow my point of view also.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Rajdeep, my bold question was, why should I wait? I waited for 500 years. Just because there are elections every year, some election somewhere, should the Hindus perpetually wait just because there is an election? And we would be exploited in the hands of the likes of Mr. Owaisi and others. I would say even the liberal media, just because we are Hindus. No, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai, get it loud and clear. Election, no election, whatever. Enough of waiting. This is our right to have the Ram Mandir where Lord Ram was born, is the right of the Hindus, and we will get it. Yes, without bloodshed, without any fight, legally. And that is what we are doing. We are fighting it on the floor of the Supreme Court. And remember, such is the temerity of some of the liberal journalists and liberal politicians, so-called liberal politicians of this country, that they went to the extent of impeachment of the Chief Justice of India because it did not suit them. They went to the extent of, over here also, fixing the match has been the word, the phrase that you all have used for the Supreme Court of India. Would you use this for any other court? Would you use this for the Supreme Court in any other case? No. Just because the liberal Hindus are being heard there and some decision has come which would only propel the decision in the direction of Ram Temple, you would even call this a match fixed in the Supreme Court? Is this the way you respect your Chief Justice? Is this the way you respect your judges? No, Mr. Rajdeep Sardesai.
So therefore, Mr. Owaisi, while you can accuse the BJP of trying to bring in religion into politics by pushing the Ayodhya issue on fast track, the fact is it's going to be decided in the courts. On the other hand, you too are accused of bringing religion into politics. So let's be very clear. Tali do haath se bachti hai. They are going to play to their constituency, you're playing to yours. You are two sides of the same coin, and that's what worries me. That at the end of the day, the real issues won't be discussed by you or them. You will play your Muslim card at election time, they are playing the Hindu card.
Rajdeep, the BJP spokesperson talks about their long wait. What about the accused who are facing a criminal trial? What about the contempt petition which is pending in the Supreme Court? People who are accused of this crime of demolishing the masjid have been bestowed Padma Vibhushan. Is that justice, Rajdeep? People who are accused have been made minister for cleaning Ganga, have been made governors of our country. What about that? Didn't the Supreme Court call it national shame? Didn't the Supreme Court said about this case, this is a case where even the Farishte would not go into that path? I am only saying this is not a question of Hindu or Muslim. This is a question of justice. This is a question of closure, that once justice happens, closure will happen. Mr. BJP can speak about Hindus. I am saying India requires justice, and justice will happen through Supreme Court and also the criminal trial. It is not a question of what I want. I am saying this is a question of justice. Please do justice. Please do justice. I am not bringing my religion over here. I am saying justice has to be done to me.
But
because
your justice,
since the day
your
idols
definition
have
of
been
justice and Dr.
surreptitiously put
Patra's is very
on the
different.
28th, 29th December, justice has not been given to me.
That's your view. Dr. Patra believes that justice must be done for what he says are 500 years that he and other Hindus have been waiting for it. Am I correct, Dr. Patra? You believe justice must be done only when a masjid, the masjid is moved out and a temple is built. 10 seconds. Am I correct or wrong? That's your definition of justice in this case.
You're absolutely right, and I was right when I said we have waited for 500 years. But look at the selectivity of Mr. Owaisi. Mr. Owaisi says that please don't draw in religion. We want justice. It is the same Mr. Owaisi when the triple talaq judgment was being read out by the Supreme Court, who said, "ये Supreme Court कौन होता है? मुसलमान कैसे शादी करेगा? मुसलमान का आस्था कैसा है? ये कौन होता है Supreme Court?" He was the same Mr. Owaisi. I heard his speech, which was telecasted on all the television channels from Hyderabad.
Okay.
So very conveniently, when we fight for the rights, not even the ritual rights of Muslim women, then he has a complaint in the name of Astha and faith. But over here, as far as Lord Ram is concerned, for them it is nothing but just a piece of land and a piece of debate. No, sir. It is my faith, and loud. We will get back our faith, come what may.
Okay, I've heard you loud and clear, Dr. Patra, and I've heard Mr. Owaisi loud and clear. My take, the Ayodhya issue has haunted Indian politics for more than 2 decades now. That a contentious and divisive issue over which so much blood has been spilled should still continue to play such a major role in Indian public life is disturbing. Instead of focusing on the real issues of our time, from poverty to health to education, the political class seems to find it so much easier to rake up an emotive issue that comes with so much baggage. The Supreme Court has now opened a window for the apex court to hear the court title dispute over who owns the disputed land in Ayodhya. That the hearings could take place in election season is troubling. It will undoubtedly be used by vested interests to further polarize the political climate. Whoever wins or loses in court, the sense of hurt and grievance will persist, which is why it would have been in the best interest of all to maintain the status quo and keep religion out of politics. Unfortunately, political parties and the BJP in particular has too much at stake now for it to allow the issue to drift away. As a concerned Indian citizen committed to religious harmony, I have maintained that the real issue should never have been posed as mosque versus temple. Matters of faith should ideally be kept out of the public and judicial domain. Sadly, that has not happened. I saw how Mumbai burnt in the aftermath of December 6, 1992, when the Babri Masjid was brought down. We must never allow that to happen again. Not now, not ever.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.